Good morning, everyone. Day 4 of our Oslo International Acting Festival experience. Today we're going to talk with Ed Setrakian about Strasberg and acting, method acting. But first of all, I just want to mention tonight we have a show, which we have already mentioned on Black Box, and I have tickets here, okay? So in the break you can come up to me and have one ticket. I think we have for all the audience actually, so I think there is no problem. We have 100 seats, approximately. No. It's with being kind to Black Box and asking very polite. Yes, so they will take away the chairs. Yeah. Ed is he's from Virginia and moved to West Virginia. Yes. Very important correction there. And he moved to New York in '53, I think, and became a student of Strasberg quite early, I think. Yeah, after that.
Well, eventually, yeah.
Eventually. He has since then been a New York-based actor, playing in theater, film, and TV. I think you have played in Sopranos as well.
I'm sorry?
I think you played in Sopranos.
I did play the Sopranos once.
Yeah. Ed has also a long career as a director and a pedagogue at the Institute as well. First of all, I want to put the Lee Strasberg method and the actor studio in a bit historical context. The American acting style and training for the American acting style and training, the group theater has been very crucial, as you probably know. But I'm going to still make a brief summary for the ones of you that maybe don't know. The group theater was a theater collective which was formed by Hal Kluman and Cheryl Crawford and Lee Strasberg in 1931. They were highly influenced by the teaching of early Stanislavski. They were trained by some of Stanislavski's emigrated students. And also Stanislavski and the Moscow Art Theater visited America in 1923 and 24 and performed there. So the group theater was not just about the style of acting, it was also wanting to produce a new form of theater and also new dramatic text. So they had quite immediate big success, and most of their plays can be said to have some kind of social protest in it, with topics of ethics and moral problems and so on, also political. So even though the group lasted hardly for a decade, its form of realism and style of acting and dramatic writing changed American theater and film forever, I think it's fair to say. So the term, the method, started to be used in these surroundings, describing their approach to rehearsals and to playing, clearly inspired by the Stanislavski system. So today I think we can say that it's fair to say that the method is a term that is used and misused in very many ways, describing everything from something that derives from Stanislavski to everything that is American acting methods, or just about Lee Strasberg method. I think mostly today very many people connected to Lee Strasberg, especially in the popular culture, I think we can say. I think it's also fair to say that the Actors Studio has been very good at promoting the technique. We all know these big stars connected to it, like James Dean and Marilyn Monroe and so on. Strasberg himself came from a Jewish Ukrainian immigrant family. He came to the States when he was 8, and in the group theater he became one of the leading directors. So when the group splitted, they formed Actors Studio in New York, where they wanted to continue their training. Strasberg became the leader of this studio in '51 until he died, I think, in '82. So Ed is a pedagogue at the Actors Studio at the time, and the Actors Studio have probably changed a lot over time, I don't know. Can you try to explain us a little bit how the Actors Studio functions now at the time? What is it?
How it functions now?
Yes.
Well, essentially, first of all, how do you get into the studio? There's a system about auditioning for the Actors Studio. Generally, anyone, even if he has had no training experience, you don't have to present a background of your work, a resume. Anybody can walk in and ask for an audition for the Actors Studio. And then they sign up for it, and a date is assigned to them to appear and do whatever scene they want to do. It's up to them to find the scene to do. So the scene lasts for about 5 minutes, let's say, for the most part. 5 minutes, yes. That's what they ask for. That doesn't mean you're going to act for 5 minutes. Sometimes they stop you in 2 minutes if they think that the work is really absolutely not there. And there have been some interesting cases where people have auditioned for the Actors Studio with some bizarre circumstances. Taking anybody off the street. And then if you pass that preliminary audition, then you're given, two things can happen. You can then, if they can't tell enough about your work, they want to see more of it, they'll say, come back and do another preliminary, and sometimes they'll say, come and observe at the Actors Studio for a year, for several months. And then you'll see what the work is like, and then you'll audition again, and if you pass that preliminary, then you go to a final audition. And in the final audition, it's primarily attended by the artistic directors and the presidents. Right now, the Actors Studio is led by 3 presidents. Ellen Burstyn, you may remember her from The Exorcist and other movies. Al Pacino, I'm sure you know who he is, and Harvey Keitel. Those are the 3 presidents. But Ellen Burstyn is the artistic director, and generally those 3 attend the final audition. And then they make a determination of who gets in and who doesn't. This year, they took in 2 people out of all the scores of people that have auditioned. People really like the Actors Studio. It's a free place to work, a free place to rehearse. It's a place to do a play that maybe you will not be cast in. It's a place to work on something that you really want to work on. For example, at my age, if I don't want to work on King Lear, and I don't, I would say, yes, sure, I'll go and get a couple of people to work with me, maybe 3 ladies to play the sisters, and say, I'll book a space, and a book a time, a date in which I will present a scene from King Lear because it's something I want to work on. And I will book a space and I'll work on that scene. So at no expense. And Actors Studio members are always life members. Can't get rid of them.
So if you have studied there, you can come back and rehearse a play there whenever.
Rehearse a scene, or yeah, we don't. It's not a production company. That's not its function. Its mission is to offer a place for actors to experiment and to grow and develop as actors, to work on whatever they want to work on. They do sometimes do productions, which they call special evenings, which are a production of a minimal set, minimal costumes, minimal props, and they work on it for about, they'll give you about 1 week or 2 weeks, a few performances each week, and then, it goes on to sometimes it goes on for production outside. My wife just wrote a play. We did some special evenings of it at the Actors Studio, and it just so happened that an artistic director of the theater saw the play in its workshop state and picked it up. It's being produced at a regional theater in New York, in New Jersey, about half an hour away from New York. That kind of thing happens. I think the Zoo Story originally was done, I'm not sure about this, but I think the Zoo Story, which is a famous Edward Albee play, was originally done as a scene at the Actors Studio. There was a director who was associated with the Actors Studio in the early 1950s. His name was Frank Corsaro, who now directs operas. But he directed some Broadway and off-Broadway shows. They decided to do a scene based on a drug addiction. Veterans returning from World War II and becoming drug addicts in the 1950s. Ben Gazzara, the actor Ben Gazzara, was playing the leading role. Anthony Franciosa was in it, and Shelley Winters was involved in it. When I first came to the Actors Studio in 1953, I think I began observing there first because I was cast in a play that they were doing called Bullfight. I saw them do the beginning work of this play called Hatful of Rain. Some of you may know this play. But it's a wonderful play about returning veterans being hooked onto drugs. And the actors did a lot of research and brought that research about how they behaved into the play. But that play was constructed purely out of improvisations.
Yeah.
They would improvise the scenes, and they brought in the author, Michael Gazzo was an actor and a teacher, and he decided to record some of this and to write it. And he would and I watched them do these improvisations. He would watch the improvisation, go home and then write. And finally, the play was constructed, and it was a big hit.
So we understand that Actors Studio has a form of also laboratory thing going on and working methods, experimenting around these methods.
Oh, yes.
This also maybe describe why I think quite often also Strasberg in Dream and Passion and other books, I think I also have the feeling that the Actors Studio is described somehow as a huge family. As a huge family, there are people that are like hanging around there over time, working in the studio as teachers or rehearsing. So you have kind of
it's a great club.
Yeah, so it's like a club, you say. There exist a lot of ideas and maybe also prejudice about the method. We should try to clarify some points, I think, some keywords.
Before we do that, I just want to say that there are two books that, if you're interested in the Strasberg method and the Actors Studio, that I could recommend. And I told the class this, the workshop that I had. One is, and I don't know if this book is still in print or not, but it's called On Method Acting by Edward Easty, E-A-S-T-Y.
You can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, and then the other book is the History of the Actors Studio by a member of the Actors Studio. He wrote it as his doctoral dissertation at NYU. It's called A History of the Actors Studio. It's a wonderfully written book and tells you all you want to know about the Actors Studio. So those two books I would recommend.
Great.
Go ahead.
Thanks. No, so I was thinking maybe we should clarify some of the exercises or the keywords of this training. So it seems like you tend to start with the relaxation exercise, and this is also connected to the concentration, relaxation and concentration exercises. Can you describe a little bit what this is and how
Yeah.
you do it?
This is the way Lee's classes worked when I was studying with him, and pretty much continues with some variations in the present actor studio and the present Lee Strasberg Institute in New York. But essentially, it begins with the relaxation exercise. The actor sits, he will usually he took about 5 or 6 actors, sit them in a hardback chair, and he said, look, now I want you to concentrate on relaxation. Right? I mean, be specific about it. Be specific about creating the relaxation. You know, you can't be somebody like Otto Preminger who would say, relax, God damn it! You know, something like that. You can't relax that way. So he would say, pretend you're going to just go to sleep in a chair. Go to sleep. Get very relaxed. Find out any part of your body where there's any tension and send a signal to those areas and say, relax the neck. And I find that most of the people have tension right here in the neck, in this area right here. Then there's another area called the blue nerves area in here. A lot of tension in this area right here. It's, you know, where the funnels, the emotions come out, you know. And in the mouth, specifically in this upper area, there's a lot of tension. But other parts of the body as well. Yesterday I was working with one of the students, and I said, when he started doing the relaxation exercise, I said, where are you tense? He says, my back. I said, like in the spinal area? He said, yes. I said, well, where, you know, send a signal there. Kind of move around, relax with it. Thinking. And I said, do you have trouble with your back? He said, yes, I have a lot of trouble with my back. It's an interesting thing that area where he had a lot of back pain is the area where he would be most tense, things like that. So you'd be very specific about concentrating on areas where there's tension. Relaxation is so important in performance. It is so important in exercises. It's really important in sensory work. You can't do sensory work unless you relax first. I don't think so. It's going to be much more difficult unless you're a really exceptionally sensitive person.
And would you take it in
yeah,
mic?
sure.
You can also take it down. You can take off the mic if you want.
That's okay. I'll do this. So, so then after they sufficiently relax, I go around and I test them for their relaxation. I lift their arms, their legs. I have them bend over a little bit, shake, make sounds like that. Lean back, relax. You know, they can move around a little bit if they wish, that kind of thing. When I feel that they are sufficiently relaxed, I say, okay, let's do a sense memory. A sense memory is recalling a sensory reality in front of you without the actual object, without the actual place. For example, one of the first sense memories we usually assign is a hot drink, like a cup of coffee or something. So the person tries to create that cup and reaches out, kind of forms the cup. You're not trying to demonstrate to the audience what you're doing. What you're trying to do is create the sensation right here in your fingers. And you keep trying to feel until you get the sense of it here, the sense of the cup. And I'm speeding up here, but in order way to demonstrate. And then eventually, you lift the cup, test it, bring it up, and you put it to your lips. You smell it. You rub your lips across the lip of the cup until you get it. Sometimes you get a little bit, sometimes you don't get any, sometimes you get some, sometimes you get a lot. It varies. And you have to take several passes at this kind of thing before you get any sensation. Then you smell it, and then you drink the coffee. You test this heat, the smell of it, the moisture, and then eventually take a sip, and you see how it feels going down. immense concentration. It's a wonderful exercise in concentration. You're doing this in front of the audience, in front of your fellow actors. But you create this own world here. And one wonderful part of the sensory thing is it teaches you to be in your own private world. Of course you're aware of the audience. You'd be nuts if you weren't aware of the audience. They're out there. But you are here in this world. And you know the audience is out there. But you're here privately in this world. And the expression, acting as being private and public, is very important. On the stage, you've got to believe these people are really living there. They don't have to work hard to suspend their disbelief. They're with you because the actor is there. If the actor is really there and involved, they're there. Then the empathy is created. You don't have to throw it at them. You bring them here. You bring them into this world that's believable to you. If you believe it, they'll believe it. You know. So this basic little exercise, and then an interesting thing happened a couple of days ago. One of the students was working on the cut, and she started having an emotional reaction. And I said, "What's going on here?" She said, "Well, I'm using this cup, and I just realized this is the cup it's very personal to me. It's something I've used a lot, and apparently, I have associations with it, other things that are associated with it." And I started feeling things. She began a little emotion. I said, "Well, keep working on it, keep working." And she did. And he felt somebody was in another world, in their own world here, in a very personal world. I told you asked in the panel discussion that we were having. I was asked what is the focus of your work. One of the focus of this kind of work is personalization, making yourself into this world.
So through sensory work, you can also connect to your emotions and your emotional experiences and
yes.
emotional memories.
Affective memory and emotional memory are comparative terms. That's right.
Could you also, because Strasberg used this exercise?
Can I go just? I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Let me go on to tell you what the structure of the classes are.
Okay.
So that immediately after you do the sense memory, they do something called the song and dance exercise that I think Lee created. I'm not sure about this, but I think he created this exercise. And we're going to have a demonstration of it a little later with one of the students.
Why don't we do it now?
We're going to do it now. Well, let me describe it a little bit, and then I'll do it.
You surely don't want to describe it after we've seen it? Wouldn't that be a little more interesting?
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah?
Where's that, my student? Is she here? There she is. Sorry.
Take the mic with you.
Oh, I'll speak loud enough.
We are recording.
Oh, I see. Right here. After the sensory work, what? After the sensory work. I do voiceovers, I should. Anyway, after the sensory work, we have the student stand up in front of the audience. And the purpose of this exercise is to relate to the audience and at the same time sing this song. The first thing I do is ask them to sing the song to find out if they are tone deaf or not. See if there's really melody. It's important. Well, let's describe that later. Okay, let's have a few lines of the song. Oh no. Go ahead.
Strangers in the night, exchanging glances, wandering in the night. What were the chances?
Good. All right. We now know that she's not tone deaf, right? That's the melody. That is the melody, right? We know that. Now, the purpose of this, one of the purposes, many purposes of this exercise, is to retain this melody and singing this song with one syllable at a time and not going into the rhythm of the song, but creating your own rhythm with passages of time between each syllable. So this is the actor, in a way, being a little anarchic. He's breaking away from the restrictions of the rhythm, creating his own rhythm by his own willpower. It's strengthening the will of the actor, number one. So, we're going to sing the song with one syllable at a time, and I'll explain a little as we go along what this indicates. Okay, you can begin now.
Strain.
Wait. Sound.
Jers.
It's up to you.
In.
No, don't. You don't have to articulate. Keep the mouth relaxed. You don't have to go in and just keep the mouth relaxed. Sound.
The.
Pretty relaxed.
Night. X.
She hit the note. Sound.
Chain.
Sound.
Jing.
Now it's up to you. That's right, into the sound. Then emotion begins to happen. Something happens, embarrassment, anger, something like that.
Sad.
Whatever it is, goes into the voice. You don't laugh, break, and then don't say the sound. You carry it into the voice.
One. Drink.
Drink, not ing, ah,
In. The.
Okay, good. Okay. That's enough of this section now. What? We're not finished yet. Imagine that she's doing a film, right? And the director said, I'm on a tight close-up in this shot. You're crying, you're breaking out, you're emotionally disturbed, right? But you have to stay like this. You can't move in. The emotions comes out. And you stay right in that close-up. This exercise teaches you that whatever emotionality is coming out during the course of this exercise, you're still able to be relaxed here, where this is not part of the shot, and capture what's going on really in the face. Willpower, focus, emotion, lyrics, lines, text, all funneling into that tight shot. All funneling into that tight shot. That's one of the treasures of this particular kind of exercise. Now we're going to do the second part of the exercise, which is called dance, but it's really not a formal kind of a dance. It's trying to get freedom of movement and freedom of expression. You belt out the sounds, retaining the melody. You belt out the sounds, retaining the melody, and you start throwing your body around the room freely. The actor has to be able to free himself expression-wise, right? Has to. If you're doing, plays that require a lot of physical movement, it's important to have that kind of freedom. Okay, let's do the second part of it. Let's do the light jumps. Sound.
Straight. Jumps. In. The. Night.
Skip.
X. Chain. Jing. Down.
still vibrate from the hips.
Chest.
From the hips.
Chest.
Let your arms alone. From the hips. All right.
Wait.
Good. Okay, good. That gives you some idea. Kind of give you a sense of.
Okay, thank you, both of you.
So those are the three parts. Those are the three parts of the exercise: relaxation, sense memory, song and dance exercise. And when Strasberg was teaching, that would be one class, usually a 2-hour class of that, and then a couple of days later, a two-hour class of doing scenes, and then incorporating this whenever you needed to. The sensory work into the scene work. For example, if you're doing a scene in which you're in a desert, then you work on a sense of heat, and you try to create the sensation of heat and work on that during the course of the scene. So you have, when you're working, you don't necessarily have to, when you're first beginning work on a scene, you can do improvisations. We'll talk about improvisations a little bit too.
We are running out of time then, so we have to be quick with our last points here.
But anyway, you incorporate the exercise techniques into your scene work in order to develop it.
I think it would be nice also if you can say just a little bit about affective memory and what that is, because I think there are quite many also connect that to the method and Strasberg.
It's not used very much anymore. I think the reason why it takes so long to work on an effective memory, but it's a powerful device or tool. The actor sits before the audience and tries to recall a time that in which something significant happened in his life to create a strong emotional effect, right? An example would be some actor recalls a time when his brother died when he was 4 years old. When the actor was 4 years old and his brother was an infant, for example. And you say, all right, we'll work on that. But you don't work on the emotion. Forget the emotion. Forget the emotion. Just work on all the sensory things around that. What was the day like? Well, it was sunny, right? And you ask questions. You start, keep your eyes closed. Let me ask you a few questions. Okay. Where do you feel the sun? Where is the sun? Oh, I see it. It's up there just above me to the right. But where's it hitting you? On my hair. I feel it on, you feel it a little bit? Yeah, I feel it. I'm rushing now. I feel a little bit on my hair. And I'm wearing, what are you wearing? I'm wearing jeans and it was summer. I'm barefoot. And I feel the grass under my fingers, on my foot. And I feel the heat on my clothes, and so on and so on. I see my mother, she's standing there. What is your mother wearing? Well, she's wearing a black sweater, a black dress, shoes, black shoes, and she's crying, things like that. What is she doing? How is she crying? Well, she's just standing still. And she's dabbing her face with a handkerchief. And I smelled something. What do you smell? I smell a plant. There's a plant. What is that? What does it smell like? That's honeysuckle. It's a sweet smell. Yeah, I get something. I got something here. Anyway, he goes through all of those sensory objects, and believe me, it really works. I've seen it work time after time.
So when the actor is going to play, a scene where he needs his form
Well,
of sorrow. He
you know,
recalls as well.
what you abstract from that one sensory thing that works for you, and I've used it in movies.
For instance, the smell.
Yeah, sure. I've used a personal thing that happens to me that creates a certain mood or thing that's right for the scene. I go prepare. Then I go and I say, okay, he says, let's shoot. We sit down, we shoot the scene, and usually I'm affected by that sensory work. You know, gives it the right mood, the right quality. Sure works for me. I saw one person do a scene, was remarkable. He was creating something here with his fingers, and what it turned out to be was a black trunk, he said. And he went into a state of shock right in front of the audience, sweating, and hands trembling like this. A powerful effect. And we asked him what it was to describe it. And he described it and he said, it's a trunk that was in my father's bedroom. And I wanted something very badly, and I wanted to steal the money. So I sneaked in, and I raised the trunk, and I got the money out, and I took off. I didn't feel anything. I felt a little guilty, but I did it. But when he recalled it, the emotion was tremendous. And sometimes when you recall things from an effective memory or a real event like that, the emotion that you feel is sometimes different from the way you actually felt at that period of time. There's a transformation or something like that happens.
You know, something I want to talk about method acting. It doesn't always have to be the classical things like a sense, memory, smell, taste. Sometimes it's unique and individual depending on the actor.
Of course.
I'll give you an example. We did this play called Salome by Oscar Wilde with Al Pacino playing the role. I had a smaller role in it. We did it a lot of different places before we did it on Broadway because Al works that way. He won't do anything unless he's lived with it for a while. So we did it in Brooklyn, we did it in Poughkeepsie, we did it at the Actors Studio, and finally we did the production. And we did it at a theater called the Barrymore Theater in New York City, which is a big Broadway house. I have to give you a little example of what this place is like, first of all. That theater, on the stage left area, all the dressing rooms and green rooms are on the stage left upstairs and so on. In order to make an entrance where the director wanted, Estelle Parsons was the director, you have to go down the stairs, down into the basement of the theater, walk underneath the stage of the theater, and up the stairs to make your entrance. Now, we actors were waiting down in the basement to go on stage, but Al would be the first one to make the entrance. So every night and matinee, we'd see him come down the stairs. He'd come down the stairs, he wouldn't look at us. He'd be, in that world, King Herod. He was playing Herod, the king. So he'd come to the foot of the stairs, leading up to the theater, and he'd stop. Move his neck around a little bit. Then he'd go 1, 2, 3, 4 steps up. Then 4, 3, 2, 1 back, down to the floor again. Stop. Move his neck. Then he'd go 1, 2, 3 steps up. Then 3, 2, 1 down to the floor again. Stop, look up, take a breath, go up the stairs, and make his entrance. And it was a terrific entrance, Now, who knows what that did to him? I don't know. I didn't ask him, that's for sure. But it was something that he did every performance in that play, in that place. Who knows what it did for him? Maybe it relaxed him, you know, maybe he had a certain physical thing that he was doing when he got on stage that was very compelling. Estelle Parsons, when she was doing, Estelle Parsons doing Osage County, another play, she's an 83-year-old woman, and she had bound up and down these stairs a couple of times. How did she prepare? I asked her. She said, well, every day before I went on, I'd dance in front of the mirror in my dressing room, and then I'd go on. It freed me, made me feel better, the preparation. Then I could talk about something else.
Yeah, even though I love your anecdotes, we just don't have time for all. And I just want to also ask you, some critics maybe say that through these exercises of getting into my state, emotional state, I would disappear from the situation and the dialogue and not listen properly.
Well, when that happens, you got the wrong preparation. If that happens, you've got the wrong preparation. You know, there are method actors who have a devious concept of what the method is, and they get lost in it, and are not
would say they're bad at
not
using
able
the
to
method.
transfer it into production and into production needs. You know, that's happened a lot.
I understand. I think you should open up for some questions in the audience if someone has. Yeah, we have one up there. Would someone kindly send a mic?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I was wondering, because you said that the affective memory is something that you don't work much, that you don't use much anymore.
No, it just takes too much time.
Well, I was wondering, in what other ways, if you could talk a little bit more about that, in what other ways has the method or the actors training at the Lee Strasberg Institute changed from the 1950s when you started to today?
I'm not at the Lee Strasberg Institute now. I'm head of the Directors and the Playwrights Unit at the Actors Studio I haven't made that clear yet.
The institute is the education, right?
The Lee Strasberg Institute is different from the Actors Studio MFA program at Pace University now. It's different. The teachers that are teaching the acting classes have all been trained by Strasberg, but there was a break between the Lee Strasberg School and the Actors Studio. I don't want to go into the politics of that, but the Actors Studio now is separate, completely separate from the Lee Strasberg Institute, although they're using the same exercises and the same technique at the Actors Studio. But the Actors Studio per se is not the Actors Studio MFA program. That's different.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know if that answers your question.
I was just wondering about how the training, method acting training.
There are changes. I understand that different teachers are deviating from the classic Lee Strasberg techniques, in some cases at the Lee Strasberg Institute. I taught at Lee Strasberg's classes when it was first, in the Institute when it was first designed, back in the 70s, I think. And then I had to stop because I began to work a lot as an actor. And so I haven't been connected to the Strasberg Institute for a long time. Except that we do that work at the Actors Studio.
Thanks. Some other questions? No? Yeah?
Question? You pass the mic.
Okay, so you can do Hege first then.
I'm a singing teacher at this theatre school, and it's very interesting for me to hear that you're doing singing and dancing exercises. And could you tell a little about why you are using singing and dancing in these exercises?
It's a device to train these actors to be relaxed in tense situations and in emotional situations, and yet to be able to use their willpower to do what the actor's will, to do whatever is necessary to be done. That's the only answer I can give you.
And the energy when you sing is a lot of energy in.
Well, which section are you talking about? The first section where she's standing?
First, when she was standing there, yes.
Well, there's a lot of emotional energy, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Could you pass the mic over to here?
I was wondering, one of the sort of myths about method acting is this idea of the research process for a role or a play or a production or project. That for you go somewhere and you live as a taxi driver, for instance, for weeks, and you have a very thorough research. I was wondering if you could maybe say something about that.
About research?
Yeah.
For a particular play that you're doing?
Yeah. Is this something you encourage, or is it something that actors have invented
Well,
themselves?
I mean, sure that you do research for a part that you're playing. If you're playing a dope addict, for example, you go and watch film, for example. Years ago, I did Of Mice and Men with James Earl Jones at Purdue University, and he plays a retarded person. In Of Mice and Men, the character of Lenny is retarded, right? So Purdue University had this great sound system, a great enclosed area. So they brought in some retarded people. So we watched through a mirror, through a one-way mirror, we watched the behavior of this retarded person. And James Earl Jones looked at it, watched the behavior of these individuals, and used it. And he had something that he had in his neck, it was like this. He had a certain motion, a movement, and a certain way of talking that was very revealing, and incorporated it into his role. That's research, you know? So there depends on the part that you're playing, where you go to do research, but it's always a big help.
Okay, and a very last question, the very last question there.
Yeah, it's just elaborating a little bit on your question. Could you say something more about the relation between sense memory and listening to the other actors in the acting situation? Because it seems to me that it would be like each person would kind of do a mental choreography, and then how does the listening get?
I can tell you something about sensory work in relationship, say, for example, working with another actor. Is that something?
If you're gonna do a scene with me now and you go into sensory work, would you be able to listen to me still?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you go into sensory work here now and you're gonna play with me, would you still listen to me?
Of course. Sure.
How do you do this?
You wouldn't disappear into like the memory of a nice summer day while he's like talking to you, or I mean, is that you said before that then they're doing it wrong? So how is the right way to do that?
I'm not. What have you? There's something about the echo of your sound or some voice that I'm not.
It's where is the focus? I mean, if the focus go inward to, example here, a summer day, would you still listen to me? Would you still be in this situation with me?
Sure.
And how can you do this? Because it's two focuses.
Let me give you an example. We're doing a scene from Death of a Salesman between the two brothers in the room, right? So let's say that the brothers, I say, look, this is a very private room that you guys are living in. You grew up in this room. You're in this bed. You've got to create for yourself. This is a silly kind of an example, but you have to create for yourself your room that you grew up in, sensorially. There's a smell that was in that room. Remember that smell. Get that feeling into the room. And you're relating to the other actor, right? Now, let's say you're my brother. You're not my brother you're another actor, right? So I look at you, and I look at your face, and I gotta find something in your face that reminds me of my brother. Maybe it's the brow, your eyes.
This is called substitution, right?
That substitution, that's right. But it's sensorially. It's sensory. I'm using the sense of memory on your face to give me a feeling of my brother. You know?
Yeah, so you're using your own personal history to get an effect by looking at me.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Substitution.
Okay.
But sensorial use of substitution.
Okay. We have no more time for more questions. I'm sorry.
It's very short.
Okay. Extremely. It's a yes and no question.
I think maybe. But if you don't have a brother, what do you do then?
Yes, if you
How
don't
do you
have-
substitute?
If you don't have a brother,
If you don't have a brother,
yeah, you're gonna play my brother.
someone that you're more intimate with on that level.
Because there is, of course, a challenge if you say that you use always your own personal experiences and you have to play something that you never experienced.
Well, you use
Yeah.
another person that you're intimate or you're close to.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Sure, you really don't want to stop asking
No,
questions.
no,
right?
just I need to clarify
Let me
this.
think
Okay,
about
we're
that.
gonna
Let me
do
think about it.
two more.
Tonight, sometime tonight, I'll probably come up with an answer.
Yeah, but
Yes or no?
what? It's a very short. It's very short. I
It's a
just
yes or
like-
no question.
I'll
Yeah,
give you a
it's
very
kind-
short answer.
It's a yes or no question. It's like, okay, would it be like this? We are playing brothers, let's say, I'm your brother. And I am picturing my brother and my room when we were growing up, and you do the same. So you are casting me in your fiction, and I'm casting you in my fiction. Is that the way the interaction goes?
It's like if I imagine that you looks like, oh, you have a nose like my mom, and you imagine that I have, oh, a forehead like your brother, then we are like I am in my fiction world and you are in your fiction, and so
Right.
we're not meeting.
But the text tells you that they're brothers. The text tells you. We don't know exactly what you're experiencing.
Obviously it works, but I'm just wondering if that's the logic of it.
If that's the logic of being in two different universes.
But the text brings you together.
Yeah, sure.
The question is, of course, aren't we always?
There are
But
different techniques.
okay, I'm sorry, we have to stop here. I'm
Can I
very.
just say something really short about this is important because I feel this method has been misunderstood.
Okay,
It says
so
something about conditioned response. How when you walk on stage and you have done all the preparations, you never think about it, right? It's all in the
Look,
unconscious.
you only use the method when you need to.
Yeah, and it's not something you do on stage.
har den
You do it
där boken.
before. But when you go on stage.
No,
No, you don't do that.
Jag tror du hört vad jag hörde sa.
So this is, they want to
This is
emphasize
really
that
important.
this is not something that you do when you work, but
No.
as exercise.
Yeah, it's something called Google Conditioned Response.
Conditioned response?
Yeah, you've done it so much, it's just natural for you. Because you work on it like 3 hours a day, so
Right.
it's all like natural responses that you don't think
Right.
about. It's there for you on stage,
Thank you.
in consciousness. Right?
Nice clarifying. So
Thank you.
now everyone that wants a ticket, come up here and I give you a program and a ticket for tonight's show. And we have a 5 minutes break and then we'll be back. Thank you.